Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve just finished up the July 2022 meeting. And in this meeting, they raised interest rates. They talked about guidance for the next meeting taking place in September 2022, and also a couple of key reports that they're going to keep an eye out for that is going to dictate how much they're going to raise interest rates in the next meeting. So it's important we keep an eye out on all of this because this will have dramatic impacts on the stock market and on crypto. And we're already seeing reactions take place all across the board, pretty positive reactions for both stocks and for crypto. So let's talk about it. First thing is going to be with the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve in this meeting raised interest rates by 75 basis points for the second straight meeting in an effort to really dampen inflation, because we've seen inflation really continue to be out of control, continuing to rise. And right now it's starting at 9.1%. So according to the Federal Reserve, they said that they had to do this even though they had not had this large of a rate increase ever. They did it in June, but before that they hadn't done it for nearly 20 years. And they said this was necessary because inflation is still out of control. Yes, they said, we have started to see recent indicators of spending and production soften, but ultimately it is not where it needs to be yet. So we saw interest rates rise by 75 basis points. They said moving forward, the key thing is moving forward, the Federal Reserve said they anticipate that ongoing increases in the target range will be appropriate. That is what they said before Jerome Powell came out, started answering some questions. So when he started coming out and answering some questions about what their plans are for September, Jerome Powell came out and said specifically, another unusually large rate increase may be warranted at the next meeting. What this means is that a 75 basis point increase, which was really unheard of until June 2022, and then again in this meeting, July 2022, he's saying that that size of a rate increase is potentially on the board and really looks like it has a high probability of happening in the September meeting. So what does this mean for us? Well, we would think that this would have negative impacts on the market, but the key thing here is that many investors, many institutions have already factored this in. They've already realized that inflation has gotten out of control, and we saw a massive correction in the market. S&P 500 was down 20% year to date. Crypto was down well over 50% from all-time record highs, and we're seeing that markets are actually reacting pretty positively to what Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve said. We can see that right now S&P 500 is up 2.6%, NASDAQ is up almost 4%, Dow Jones is up 1.5%, and we're also seeing that crypto is up 8% over the last 24 hours. So all across the board, things are not looking bad in terms of investments. But in terms of the economy, things are going to look out for. We need to talk about that. So yes, we're going to expecting to see more rate increases. The key question is how much are they going to be? What reports are going to dictate whether it's a 50 basis point increase, 75 basis point increase, or potentially even a 100 basis point increase. So what we have to keep an eye out for over the coming days is first going to be the GDP report, which is taking place on July 28th, 2022. This report is first going to indicate whether or not we are officially in a recession. Typically, GDP report, when you see 2 consecutive quarters where it decreases, that is technically a recession. That is what they would call, that is like the guidelines for what a recession technically would be. So we are expecting to see another decrease in this quarter's GDP report. So that would put us in a recession. That's the first thing. Other report they're going to keep an eye out on, and really which is going to be the deciding factor for how much they increase rates in the next meeting, is going to be this CPI data for July 2022. So for July 2022, the report is going to be released on August 10th. So keep an eye out on the report coming out August 10th. This is going to give us specific data about inflation, what is going on with the economy. Have we started to see the government's efforts to tame inflation work? Because if we see inflation above 9.1%, well, markets are going to take a big hit. If we see it below 9.1%, then it looks like the bottom is probably already in the market for both stocks and for crypto. We may continue to see sideways movement over the coming months, but we need to see the CPI data show a decrease from 9.1% down slightly to anything below 9.1%. That would be ideal. So moving forward, Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve said that they are planning on increasing interest rates, but they're going to keep an eye out on a couple of key reports over the coming days and really coming weeks to dictate how much they're going to increase it by. So that's what's going on in the overall market right now. Things really aren't looking too bad. Nothing too unexpected from this meeting. So moving forward, I'm just going to continue to dollar cost average in my positions, both stock market and crypto, and we'll keep an eye out on that report on August 10th. But hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. See ya.